Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker, edgier tone with everything we do here. So if that kind of content screams at you, please like, share, and subscribe. Please support us on Patreon. The link is in the description. And right before we get into the video, one quick announcement. We are now in a pleasant relationship with Dice Legion. So if you do need dice bags, dice boxes, any other ttrpg accessories, please check them out. Their link will be in the description and use the promo code SINISTER. You'll be able to get 10% off everything you buy, and you can use this code over and over and over again. So let's try and help some of that dice addiction get to where it needs to be. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this week's video, the SHADAR KAI. The SHADAR KAI is a name I'm going to be mispronouncing the entire time, so please forgive me. They come to us in Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes. This is an older book that was produced at this point, and they're really, like, on the surface, they are edgier elves. They come from the Shadowfell. There's a whole huge lore story behind it. They are faithful to the Raven Queen. It's a great, awesome lore story. You should really get into it. Awesome stuff. You should really check out how great and like in-depth the elven history is. It's a lot of fun. It's totally worth it. But one of the cooler things about the SHADAR KAI comes from one of their older editions. They are born and live in the Shadowfell, so their life is very dark and dismal and bleak. And because of that, they used to have almost a vulnerability to death. So they had like disadvantage on death saving throws. Like they had a lot of weird shit that was like scary. And the only way to stave off this like natural affinity that draw them towards death was to live a very extreme lifestyle. So they had to go out and do these incredible adrenaline junkie like things. Otherwise, parts of their soul would kind of deteriorate and bring them back to the Shadowfell. So they often had like a whole lot of piercings, crazy hairstyles. They were all adventurers or assassins or treasure hunters. They did all these extreme things because if they didn't, they would die so much faster, so early, and it's a crushing, debilitating thing. I love that about their previous editions. I thought it was so great and such an interesting thing that it sticks with you. So whenever I play a SHADAR KAI, I really incorporate that as really deep part of what my character is doing or why my character is doing what they are. There's no like alchemists like sitting around just formulating potions. Like they're all out in the field doing insane stuff, and it's such a great concept to delve into because the Raven Queen has a lot of shady business going on. She's a goddess of death and winter, and she covets the undead. So there's like a lot of things that like she wants and she's actively trying to gain, and she's quite powerful. So being a henchman of hers really gives you this like reason to do anything. Like you can jump into anything and just be like, well, you know what, gaining ancient artifacts would bring her power, would give winning this war and proving that it was her will that sent me here would gain her followers. Like it's a great way to pull your SHADAR KAI from leaving the Shadowfell, entering the material plane, and really trying to do a lot of crazy dangerous things, all for their glory and for their honor. But in truth, none of that matters. You just want to live. And that's why you do these crazy things. So it sets up this great duality of who you are and what you want. So definitely dive into the lore. It's totally worth it. So the SHADAR KAI get a lot of the same things that the elves do. They have trance, they have dark vision, they have keen senses, they have fey ancestry, so it's hard to charm them and put them to sleep. They can't sleep, so that really makes things a lot easier, especially dealing with certain kinds of things. That being said, where they differ is they gain two things that other elves really don't get. They gain necrotic resistance, which gives them resistance to necrotic damage, and a unique skill to them, the Blessing of the Raven Queen. As a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Starting at 3rd level, you also gain resistance to all damage when you teleport. Using this trait, the resistance lasts until the start of your next turn. During that time, you appear ghostly and translucent. This is slightly different in the Mordenkainen monsters of the multiverse, where all the races kind of got changed or patched, really. In Monsters of the Multiverse, as opposed to doing it once, you can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and then you regain all expended uses when you use a long rest. And you gain that damage resistance again after you reach 3rd level. That is really, really awesome. Not only do you gain resistance for a whole turn, which is incredible, it's to all damage. So it does give you a unique ability to appear somewhere you're not supposed to in order to do something else afterwards. If you're thinking a couple of moves ahead, this can be very beneficial to you. That resistance is awesome. First off, a teleport is always useful. Getting in or out of trouble is great. You never know when you need to jump out of a building and not fall, or jump into another window or something like that. You can use this in a lot of ways. So the strategic mind is going to love this. The important thing for me is not only does it give you this wonderful ability, it adds this really great flavor to it, where you have this ghostly translucent effect. It's great when you know what the SHADAR KAI look like in the Shadowfell. In the material plane, they look like elves, but like with gray skin, black hair, like super, super awesome, edgy elves. And like they're just so intense. But when they go back to the Shadowfell, they look aged, like almost to the point where they're like withering away, like slim down, like faces that look like they haven't eaten or drank anything in decades. They look really elderly. They look frail. And if you just get that one moment where you teleport behind something, and then that's how you look to them, and then you like rematerialize as yourself, like that's like cool. You know what I mean? Like that really makes me feel awesome. That's like, it's such a great tactic to use if you wanted to intimidate someone, if you wanted to be scary, if you wanted to really kind of change the momentum of a conversation. Doing something like that is great. In combat, it just looks cool. And I will never stop loving this ability, because it's so theatrical. It fits so well. If you're a rogue, could you imagine being that way? Like being an assassin and just like teleporting up to something and then like just appearing as like a ghost and then just bang, just sneak attack and then go from there. Like that's so cool. And it's something that only the SHADAR KAI really get, that really manifests that awesome, darker flavor to them and brings it to the forefront and makes it something that you're going to use all the time. When thinking about playing a SHADAR KAI and really trying to pull in your influences to making your character, obviously going darker is great. It's awesome. You can do a lot of great things with that. But the original SHADAR KAI, their ability scores were 2 to Dex, 1 to Constitution. So it gave you this great ability to be so many different things. You could have been a fighter, a ranger, a rogue, even a monk. You have a lot of great opportunities there, with dexterity being so versatile as it is, to really do a lot with this. So you can build your character a lot of different ways. So a lot of the things that are super edgy really, really go well. Gloomstalker fits in perfectly. Phantom Rogue, awesome. The fighter, you can really go a lot of different ways. You can go champion, you can go samurai, even anything that you really like. It just fits. You know, you teleport and you just start slashing away. Like it works so well. Multiple attacks is great. Being able to be up in the front line, that resistance is a huge bonus. You know, you just Blessing of the Raven Queen into a mixture of a whole bunch of enemies and let them focus you on a turn when you're getting resistance. That's awesome. If you wanted to be a bard, I could see that maybe, but you're so devoid of all that emotional brightness that comes to the bard, and this really isn't a channel to talk about the great glorious multicolor facets that make bards amazing, or even like a Whispers bard really doesn't suit, because there's that certain lack of because they're so devoid of emotion and so like barely hanging on, it doesn't seem that like coincidental that those two things would mingle very well. Have I seen it before? Absolutely. But a lot of the times with the SHADAR KAI, I feel like being aggressive is really something you want to have. You want to do things that put you out there, that make you go forward, that make you go there fast. So running into combat right away, making that first attack, anything that's got a big first round, those are the things that are really going to gel well with what a SHADAR KAI is, which is why the Gloomstalker fits in perfectly. I even like the Horizon Walker, especially when you reach higher levels, so that way you can just do the attacks and start teleporting, because that really just... it just feels so great to do that many teleports and still be able to teleport away. Like, it's a cool concept that you can really work in very well. It makes you just so... it makes you a very unique kind of fighter. Like, you're almost fighting like Nightcrawler, which is a cool concept to have. Our final thoughts. The SHADAR KAI give you this incredible backstory to work with and to incorporate. The lore behind them is awesome. If you wanted to play a Hexblade, use the SHADAR KAI. Most people are unaware that the SHADAR KAI and their connection to the Raven Queen makes them great Hexblades. Simply because most of the Hexblades are forged by the Raven Queen. They are gifts that she creates and she can give out. So why wouldn't she give them out to her loyal followers? It works so well. And just the SHADAR KAI in general work as awesome, edgy subclasses. Gloomstalkers, you fit in perfectly. What's better than the Dark of the Shadowfell? Nothing. Who is better capable to hunt in darkness, stay in darkness, live completely enshrouded in darkness? The SHADAR KAI. It's just right there. Phantom rogues, assassin rogues, anything that has a big first round, anything that you want to have that surprise attack. This is a great subclass for that. And it just builds this wonderful, terrifying, edgy, scary, extremist kind of a character. And you have a lot of opportunities to play that out. And it's a great duality because you're living this extreme lifestyle, but you're so devoid of emotion because the Shadowfell pulls all the things that make you alive away and kind of leaves you almost as a husk. And that's your home. Your home is the one place that sucks all the light out of you. All that joy that you've ever felt, gone. And that's what you live in. That's how you exist. That's home to you. That desolate emotional void. And yet now here you are climbing mountains, jumping off bridges, jumping into like burning buildings, trying to save the world. Because if you don't, you give in to death that's slowly pulling you away. It's so awesome, and you can play it so well, and you don't have to be good, but you can act good because it'll keep you in the adventure. There's a lot of great ways to build a character that's SHADAR KAI and pull them to the forefront and be that super edgy dude and just relish in the violence and the extreme lifestyle, because it's not enough to just save someone. You need to jump out of a building that's exploding behind you. Like, you need that, and you need to fight the scariest thing. You need to fight the biggest thing, because bringing those rewards back save you in a way that's very real and very tangible to you. Your life is one adventure, because if it's not, it's so bad for you. Maybe leaving the Shadowfell is your great joy. Maybe that's why you fight so hard for the Raven Queen, because she lets you treasure hunt for her. She lets you find artifacts. Maybe that's what it is. And it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to do these great things with a character that comes from darkness, because you can change them. You can cause them to have this eruption of character development and become something that they weren't originally. Whatever it is, you have the easiest backstory. And that is a great thing, because you don't have to worry about where they came from, how they were raised up, or whatever. You can leave it like that and just take that stereotypical backstory from a SHADAR KAI and focus on how individually your character's personality has developed from their view, and not just be a stereotype and just focus on you as opposed to the backstory. So yeah, you have all these opportunities in the world for the DM to tie you to certain things, but it's not about that. It's about how that turns you into who you are now. And that really gives your character this great humanistic quality to it. This great ability to transcend what they were, to do other things. It's very awesome. A lot of people look at things like that and see it just very blah and bland, but you can do a lot with it if you're willing to work at it. That being said, I know this video is probably a little shorter than the rest, but thank you so much if you've made it this far. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, if you need dice or any other dice accessory, check out Dice Legion. Use the promo code SINISTER. The link is in the description. And most importantly, thank you for giving a spooky kid a chance.